Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Sabertooth, number 1 of 4. This is a mini-series, the first that focuses on Victor Creed, aka Sabertooth. Came out, cover dated August 1993, and it's a very designy cover. It's die cut, so similar to Wolverine issue number 50 in that regard. We've got work on this. The lettering on this is by Todd Klein. Really nice logo there, and I like the way that it is cut into Sabertooth, and then we have him peeping through the die cut letters O there. And also over here in the corner, in the side margin of the cover, we have text: Sabertooth death hunt, ambushed by his past on a quest for his life. So we do discover some things about Sabertooth's origin in this. There's a little cloud of mystery hanging over what we learn, but it is teasing by the writer Larry Hama. I'm going to open this one up, and you can see that we have a painted inside cover, 2 pages by Mark Texeira. Mark Texeira is our interior artist as well. So Texeira, multi-talented, an excellent inker, an excellent penciler, and also capable of producing painted art like this. So really good stuff. Let's continue and get into the story proper. And it opens in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Sabertooth is being driven home to, well, you can see his mansion there. I like the little detail of the letter C there over the outside gate entrance to his house. This guy here with him, Cyborg, is journeying with him home. And Sabertooth says to him, "This is it, tell your driver to pull over here." And Cyborg says, "Multiple hostile thought waves in the ether. You've got company waiting for you. Are you sure you don't want me to stick around?" "Get lost," Cyborg says Sabertooth as he gets out of the stretch limo. So really nice art here. I love the speed lines as the limo is speeding along those suburban streets towards Sabertooth's mansion. As I said, it looks like he's got a whole block to himself there. Love the interior shot of the inside of the stretch limo. This huge figure of Sabertooth, really nice inking on this too. It's Mark Texeira's pencils, but he's inking himself as well, using a variety of different techniques. I can see him cutting in some white media there for the highlights on Sabertooth's costume. It's the costume as redesigned by Jim Lee, which is a pretty nice one. Lee, not renowned for costume design really, but he did a really good job on Sabertooth's one. Like the little detail, like the use of screen tone there in the background for the night scene. You can also tell that Mark Texeira is not using a ruler here or gridding out the mansion. He's doing everything by eye. So there's a little wonkiness to the line work, but it makes the building look old, which I suppose it's supposed to be. Now we'll turn the page here and you're going to see a fantastic double page spread. This is what you want from a comic like Sabertooth. If you've picked this up in 1993 and you're 14 or like 12 to 14 years old, this is what you want. Coming up next, look at that. That is tremendous work. So we've got Sabertooth front and center there. Look at his massive hulking figure. He's got a very slim waist, but those massive broad shoulders. Every muscle popping there, his mouth open, and he's surrounded by the hand. And I really like the perspective. Again, it's all by eyeball, by Mark Texeira. Really dynamic looking. So the title of the story is Home is the Hunter, and the creative team here, Larry Hama, writer, Mark Texeira, artist. So those two have been collaborating over on the Wolverine solo title. Richard Starking's letterer, Steve Buccellato, colorist, rounds out the creative team. So the hand are boasting there, "We'll take your skull and carve it into a bedpan." That's pretty funny stuff from Larry Hama. Let's turn the page, see how they get on. You'd have to suppose that this is a threat for Sabertooth, but also look how vicious he looks. Look at those claws as well. These guys are going to be destroyed. So we see that happening here. Really dynamic. Love the Dutch angle there as well. The contortion of Sabertooth's anatomy as well. Really good stuff. The expression on his face. And he is calling someone at the gate. "What the blazes am I paying you for, birdie?" he says. "You're supposed to keep the trash off the sidewalk." So She responds, "Is that you, boss?" And he replies wittily, "Well, it sure ain't the Avon lady." So the hand here amassing around him. What is this? An infestation, he says. Love the close-up there on his eyes popping. Let's turn the page. There's going to be more brutal violence. Look at this. He's ripping away. Love the bleed off the side of the page as well. The colouring there, the black, the red, it really evokes the violence and the bloodiness of what Sabertooth is doing to that cadre of the hand. Here in the foreground, we've got a silhouetted hand. It's hand's hand, if you know what I mean. I like that kind of design of the panel there, the horizontal panel. And then they're blown away, and this is Birdie here. So we got our first look at her in Jim Lee's Adjectiveless X-Men number 6, if I'm not mistaken. And here she is again. So she's a type of assistant to Sabertooth, but we're going to learn a lot more about what she does for him in the course of this issue. So this is all completely ridiculous. Look how slim her figure is, supermodel looks, and she's holding this massive, massive gun with just one hand. Like, that is unbelievable as it's blasting away there. So she says here rather nonchalantly, "Sorry boss, I was monitoring the batch that's camped out at the back door. I'll have this lot cleared away in a second." "See that you do, Birdie," he says. Look at all the shells there falling on the ground. Good stuff. So let's see. I moved too far ahead there. So she's blasting away. Sabertooth here kicks the door in of his own house. That's pretty funny stuff. And he's stalking past here a gallery of portraits, and everyone has claw marks through them. And what's all that about? He says here, "Long as there's greed and envy, fear and loathing in the world, going to be work aplenty for assassins. Have that one changed? She should be wearing the uniform of a Hydra overlord." So it seems like these are the people that he's assassinated. And he likes to keep a gallery in his mansion of the people he's killed. So that's an interesting little character detail there coming through Larry Hama's script. Later, so he's soaking in the hot tub. "I really needed this hot soak, Birdie," he says, as she is doing his back for him. "Man oh man, it's like jackhammers and ice picks inside my skull," he says. And she replies, "Your muscles are all tight and knotted. You have to cool out, and you don't tell me what to do," he says. And he throws her in this massive hot tub. "You just get in here and do your job." And the implication is, well, what is that? You know, the reader is wondering, is it something quote unquote erotic that her job might be? So she's spluttering there in the water. You shouldn't ought to do that to someone you let traipse through the inside of your brain. Now that's the intriguing part. All it'd take is an aneurysm. And he's just smiling there as he pops open the champagne. "You ain't got the sand to kill me, Birdie, 'cause you know there ain't nowhere far enough for you to run if you tries and fails." Interesting in terms of what happens a little later in this particular issue. So let's continue with the story here. Are things going to get hot and steamy? The reader might be wondering. So look at that look of wrath in her eyes. Love the colouring here as well by Buccellato. Interesting colouring. So it's kind of like it's capturing the emotion rather than being realistic. But I like it. So he's there swigging out of the champagne bottle. "Come on, Birdie, do your thing. You're going to love it. That old geek cyborg unscrambled some of my memories for me, unblocked some choice stuff. Some real horrors come loose from up there," as he points at his skull. "Enough to freeze your craw." So she uses her mutant power on him. "You want it, Mr. Creed, you got it," and blasts him straight in the noggin. And he's there rolling back his head with, what is that? What is that sound that he's making? It's intriguing stuff. All horizontal panels, so we're getting a widescreen effect here. And then we see all this craziness in his mind, all these horror images, contorted figures. And then, who's this? A boy with his hands shackled and covered, and something over his mouth. And here the boy appears, and Creed there is mumbling and saying it's like dying and being born, like a white hot hurting and pure joy, like taking what you want and getting what you fear, like killing and making. And he was about to say something B. So what was that? And then the child appears and is there at the end of the hot tub. And Birdie asks the child, "Who are you?" And it looks like Creed is out of it. Love the use of screen tone here for the surface of the hot tub. And the boy is grinning dangerously. "They calls me Creed. Will you be my friend?" So this is young Victor Creed as a boy. And we're inferring that he must have been dangerous. So Birdie there with a very wide smile says, "Sure, I'll be your friend. Who did all that to you?" And the boy says, "They did. We can't tell them about us being friends, you know. They'll punish me. They's always punishing me. They say if I be's bad one more time, they's gonna lock me in the root cellar for good." So Birdie asks him, "What did you do that was so bad?" And you can see here Creed is out of it. "Come closer and I'll tell you," he says. And then he rips open the manacles, takes off the mask around his face, and he starts throttling her. But then he stops. This is a really interesting layout here where we've got these small vertical panels and we see the point of view of the boy as he's throttling Birdie. Then the focus switches to his face and then the transformation of his emotion. "You doesn't hates me?" he asks in bafflement. "You doesn't want to hurt me?" And then he hugs her. So this really is a child, and the implication is he's being abused, neglected, and that is part and parcel of his poor behavior, is the implication from this. So Birdie here smiling, "No, honey, I think maybe you've been hurt too much." And then look at this in the background, this big silhouette getting up out of the hot tub. "Oh, ain't that sweet?" he asks, "almost enough to melt the heart o' the king of mean. But you know what they say, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades." And then he punches her in the face. So don't be wasting that good stuff on no phantoms out of the past. I need that glow, Birdie. I need you to take away the pain. So she uses her telekinetic powers to relieve Creed of, the implication is his guilt or the memories he has. And why should he feel any guilt at all? Why is he not just a stone cold psycho killer with no remorse or conscience? We're getting the reveal of that in terms of the boy he once was, who seems to have had something of an innocent heart, some desire to be loved. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that a little later in the issue. This is funny here. We've got these trophies on the stairs up to the second floor, and we've got it looks like a warthog there. We've got an elephant head, and we've got two hands here gripping a battle axe. That's hilarious. That one in particular. Later, that's a really nice establishing shot outside the front yard of Creed's mansion. You can see there's a wall all the way around it. Again, the perspective here is being eyeballed by Texeira. Use of screen tone there in the background. Some white media there to give the stars and planets in the sky. Here is Birdie coming down the stairs. Now, there is an implication here, like Larry Hama will imply, to use the Bill Clinton phrase, sexual relations between characters, but it's a Comics Code approved book. And so are we inferring that in addition to the glow, there is some kind of sexual relation between Creed and Birdie, to put it in its most, neutral terms? And look at all these other heads here. So we've got tigers and bears, a giraffe even. So the hunter, yes, Sabertooth. So she's sneaking down the stairs and opening the security system and turning it off. And everything gets turned off. The perimeter sensor turned off. The grounds motion detector turned off. Anti-personnel mines turned off. Punji pits turned off. Main gate lock off. Everything off. That's an interesting little panel there. We've got the light coming from this side. Nice spotting of blacks there by Texeira. So the gate opens and in comes these soldiers, this kind of combat team. Assault team, says the lead guy, takes the point. Security team covers any withdrawal. Now, this particular pose here reminded me of a scene from James Cameron's Aliens with the Space Marines. Just these huge gear that they're carrying. But one of the characters, I just forget his name at the moment as I'm making the video, It even looks like him a little bit in the face too. He was the guy who was carrying the biggest machine gun of them all. Maybe somebody will remember in the comment section the guy's name. It's okay, he's sound asleep, says Birdie, so she's betrayed Sabertooth. In goes the assault team, but Sabertooth's awake. Somebody's in my house. So what woke him up? His animal senses? They're downstairs dealing with this armored door. Send up the weapons team. We need a missile launcher up here, says one of the men. And Birdie says, I left that door open. Something's wrong. So they blast through the massive door. And on the other side, who will it be except for Sabertooth? And he's had time to get into his costume as well. So he's leaping at them there. That's a great anchor image of him going at them. So he starts slashing into them, ripping, slashing. I like the decision here for this particular panel to have all the characters in silhouette. Birdie basically slides down the rest of the stairway. Arrogant macho idiots, she yells. Now we're all in for it. And Sabertooth is onto her. Where are you, Birdie? He yells. He puts on the systems, the security systems. So anti-personnel mines go off. Malayan tiger gates now armed, so they start spiking the guys there. Hall lasers now armed, but Birdie knows where all of the security systems are, so she's able to crawl out. This is a great image here, this top-down image. Look at the massive size of Sabertooth's shoulders there. All that, and there's still some left, he says. Now they hit him with the gas. So that's his vulnerability. Some kind of tear gas as well. You can see the tears streaming down his cheeks. Going to take more than this to take me down, he says. Then they go to zap him with a taser. So those are his vulnerabilities. Gas him, electrocute him. Let's get past these ads here. So we've got all horizontal panels. They get him down and he starts flashing back. Sorry, no, he's not flashing back, not yet. On this page he is. So they get him down. They're hitting him with horse tranquilizers as well, shooting him with a triple dose, and he's all wrapped up. And they're putting him in the ambulance there. Birdie's watching, but he's still conscious. I'm going to fix you, he says. You hear that? I'm going to fix you. So it looks like she is worried about all of that. And now we have the flashback to the boy from earlier, and you can see he's chained up in the basement there. It looks like he's wet himself as well down in the basement and the ground. So that's really rough stuff. And down come, is it his parents or guardians? You hear that, boy? I'm going to fix you, says the man. And the woman there with her lamp, she says, we can't do this to him. He's only... And the man says, you can just see him there. Can't see all the details of his face. You shut your yap, woman, he says. I pulls out them devil teeth and them claws. Well then, maybe I can beat the evil out of him. And she says, you ever think maybe he's a trial? Maybe he's being tested like Job was? There's got to be a reason. What did we ever do? So these are being portrayed as religious types. And so, of course, there is the question as to what stripe of religious types they are. Judeo-Christian anyway, but some kind of very fanatical, fundamentalist, harsh, maybe Calvinistic type, where they're regarding him as reprobate. At least the man is anyway. So he's going to pull out the boy's teeth and claws. So the boy here chomps down on the woman's hand, even though she was trying to defend him. So the man says, what did I tell you? Tarnation now. You just hold him tight. And he's about to pull the teeth out. He's waking up, Doc. More phenobarb. We over here. Turn the page. Get past these advertisements. And there's Sabertooth. He has been operated on. So we can see all the stitches all down his body. And he's been upgraded. Dr. Mabuse, now that's funny, has been working around the clock, someone says, for the last week, giving you a full system upgrade. You are now, in the parlance of the arcades, Turbo Sabertooth. So this is very early 90s indeed. And Sabertooth asks, you made me stronger? That's pretty stupid. You know what I'm going to do when I... And the guy says, we also installed a control device next to your aorta. I'll come to that in a minute. So here is the guy who's ordered all this happen. Now this is a very I don't know, it looks like a transformer. I'm the Tribune, and I had all of this done to you in order that you may carry out a very special assassination. The control device I mentioned earlier is to ensure that you carry out this little mission. It consists of a 6-ounce lump of thermite 3 with a radio controlled detonator. I don't expect you to take my word as to the effectiveness of this device. The guy says, I prepared a visual aid. So they bring in a hand ninja, and the device goes off and he's exploded to bits there. I don't like the design of this. It looks very, what do I want to say, very basic and clunky looking. In any case, now this guy Tribune says to Sabertooth, in answer to Sabertooth's question, so who do you want aced? Her name is Mystique. So we've got a photograph there of Mystique in a redesigned costume by Mark Texeira. And the guy continues, he says, you have 2 days, that is 48 hours from the time you're healed and accept the mission. So Sabertooth there immediately says, start the clock, Junior. One thing you should know, after I ace the broad, I'm coming after you. So to be continued. So that is a very action-packed, really well drawn, kind of exciting opening to the first issue of the 4-part miniseries. It's good stuff. It's very early 90s, but there's some wit in there. There's some mystery. There's teasing regarding Sabertooth's origin as an abused child. All of that. There's some stuff going on. And as I said, I'll make the point again. Great art by Mark Texeira. Really amazed at the way that he eyeballs the backgrounds, you know, without using perspective. Even though, as I say that, he definitely used a ruler here for the perspective on this laboratory. This is intriguing stuff if you want to read that from Howard Chaykin advertising his Midnight Men miniseries for Epic Comics. So Marvel expanding at the time, expanding their imprint, their Epic imprint. That wouldn't last long. And also at the back we have a pinup by Travis Charest. So that's very early Travis Charest art. Putting a lot of that detail in silhouette there, making for a moody shot of Sabertooth. And we get a Michael Golden as well. The Michael Golden is pretty interesting because obviously you can see Sabertooth scrapping with Wolverine, and Wolverine is off panel mostly. I'll just turn that around as well so you can get a look at that. Look at the use of the kind of like speed lines there and those huge fangs of Sabertooth's. Really good stuff by Golden. And on the back cover we have that anchor image from the inside of the issue as well, featuring Sabertooth. That's good stuff. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Sabertooth #1. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.